And you've just heard Burning, the new single from Silvi, and I'm delighted to be joined by Silvi now. Hello, Silvi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's so good to have you on the show. What can you tell us about Burning?
So it was written with the intent of trying to kind of express the feelings I had towards being gaslit. So kind of it happens when someone quite toxic makes you feel like you're sort of not worthy in their company, and then that can obviously make you question if you're a good person or not, and then it leads to loads of other feelings, I suppose. But yeah, it's about that type of, whether it be a friendship, relationship, family, that type of interaction with someone and feeling like you need to distance yourself from it.
I mean, I find with your songs that it feels like you dig deep to write them. You know, they're always kind of really memorable lyrically, you know, and that's what it feels like to me. Is that the case?
Oh, thank you. I mean, to be honest, the only time I write, I never write with sort of immediate intention of, oh, today I'm going to write a song about this. It's usually, it comes from, I'll feel a certain way about a situation, usually an unjust situation, and then I'll need to express it in some way. And I'm getting better, but for a while I was really subdued in how I felt about things and would often not speak to anybody about it. But thankfully I'm getting a lot better, and I think actually a lot of it has been through music, because now people know a little bit more about me and how I feel about certain things. So yeah, it's got a lot to answer for, music and writing about yourself, because then you actually have to sometimes explain it to people. So yeah, I would say so. I would say it's, yeah, kind of, I always kind of write thinking that it's not going to go anywhere, and then that gets the most authentic lyrics, and then once it's done I'll be like, okay, well, that's what it was, that's how it was at the time.
And what I also love about your music is I'm never sure what you're going to give us in terms of the styles and everything. You know, we've just heard Burning, which is quite a kind of heavy ballad, and then we'll hear Rain later, which is kind of electronic music, dance music with a bit of hip hop in it. And then, you know, you've got your previous release, Wish You'd Stay, which has almost got a kind of Kate Bush feel with the pianos and everything.
Oh,
Deliberate choice to be that diverse and kind of investigate different styles. Is that something which is really interests you?
It's deliberate, but not in the sense of trying to be diverse. It's more kind of for a personal development sort of exploration type thing. I think for a while I just wanted to find my sound, whatever that was, and I was churning out songs and I was like, well, that's different from that one, that's different from that one, how am I going to make that be cohesive? And because it couldn't be, I just thought, well, I'm just going to make it for what it is, and whatever it happens to transpire into in the studio, I'm just going to go with it. So that's kind of been the method for now, just basically write it, and whatever it ends up being, that's the genre it is. But I am becoming a bit more diligent with how I write now, so I'm kind of starting to think, okay, I want to make it more soul, I want to kind of go down like the soul rock and soul type thing, because that's the kind of music that I think I would prefer to be involved within. So yeah, I think I'm going to be more intentional with it now.
And is that with the idea of eventually having an EP or an album, which, you know, perhaps is going to be more of one type of music?
Yeah, I would love that. Obviously, funds permitting. I'm not in a position to fund that at the moment, so it's going to be singles for now, but I would love to have an EP within maybe the next year or two. I think an album's still a bit far off. I do have enough songs, but I don't know if they're good enough, you know. I'm looking forward to hopefully writing more and having enough content to be able to put in an album. And
let's talk a bit about your inspirations. Could you tell us what a few of them are anyway?
Yes, I was going to point to some posters, but they're not actually on this wall. My house is covered in Stevie Wonder. He's my biggest inspiration. And yeah, Motown, soul music, that sort of thing. And then I love sort of James Morrison. More recently, my inspirations in terms of more current artists have been a guy from America called 2 Feet. Don't know if you've heard of him. He's great. He's really, really cool. He merges like sort of current like electronic music with blues, like old school blues, and he plays the electric guitar live as well as sings, but he does it over a sort of sample type thing. It's really, really cool. I love him, and I love a Swedish pop singer called Leon. She's soul pop,
Right.
but yeah, she's fantastic as well. So yeah, they're the new influences, but it always will be soul music.
I'm a massive fan of Motown and Stax and that whole soul music time as well. And Stevie Wonder, wow, and there was just a period where he couldn't do anything wrong, could he? Just every single thing he released was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. Yeah. I would have loved to have kind of seen it. I've not seen him live. I would have loved to have been there when he was in his heyday, but yeah, I'll never get that.
And do you have plans to play live yourself soon that you could tell us about, or even further single releases?
Yeah, the next gig I have is a headline at King Tut's. That's at the end of this month. So it's the 21st of August. So it's a Sunday night. And yeah, that's part of the King Tut's Summer Nights festival thing. And support is coming from Majesty Pam, Del Prez, and Jennifer Stewart. So that'll be really cool. And then after that, I'm playing Vibrations Festival, which is in Falkirk.
Right.
The breakthrough stage at that. And then I've got 2 other festivals that are unannounced, and then I've got one more in Hull at the end of at the start of October. And then I think I'm going to take some time to just write. That's what I've been saying to myself, but I don't know if that'll end up happening, because I might get offered a really good gig and not want to turn it down. But yeah, so far I've not booked anything past October.
And were you writing a lot during lockdown, and with the idea that you were looking forward to gigging again out of it? I mean, I think a lot of people have gone, yes, we can get out and gig again. I've rushed back into it. How was your feeling about that?
Well, it's funny because I'm sort of the opposite. I was writing lots during lockdown because I thought the world was never going to go back to normal and I would never have to sing it live. So I was like, oh, cracking, I'll just always sing these in the house, or like I'll do some sort of socially distanced studio version of it or something. Like, I'm never going to have to sing this to a room full of people, because I don't know about you, but for a while I was just like, the world's never going to be the same. So it felt kind of never ending at some point. So yeah, it was good that happened though, because that meant that I experimented a lot more with what I was writing and how I wrote vocally and in terms of vocal melodies and stuff, because I think for a while I sort of held back because I didn't want to do it to the extent in case I couldn't do it live. Right. But now I've just chucked myself in the deep end, because all my songs, a few people have said this, like, all your songs start at the bottom of your range and then somehow at some point go to the top of your range, and I'm like, yeah, I need to stop that, because for a full set that's not gonna hold up. So yeah, but I think it was because I was just like, oh, I just want to do something with my day. So, well, I worked all through the pandemic from home, but yeah, songwriting was the only solace I had.
So many musicians have said the same thing, that it was almost a kind of lifesaver, was whether they were working or not, or however their days were structured, to be able to go and do something that they really loved and knew how they could do was a big thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it totally saved a lot of people.
And talking about live stuff, I believe you're going to be at the Voodoo Rooms at the Fringe this Wednesday with the brilliant Brown Bear. What's that about?
Yes, so another podcaster called Jamie has a podcast called Just Get a Real Job, and Matt from Brown Bear and I have both been guests individually on it. And for the Fringe, Jamie's doing, I think it's 3 Fringe shows. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, sorry. I think he's doing 3 Fringe shows, and one of them is a music panel. So he's asked Matt and I to come and speak on the music panel. So I've never done anything like that before. At first I felt kind of like a bit imposter syndrome, like, why has he got me? But then I was like, actually, he's got quite 2 good perspectives, because he's got Matt, who's been in the music scene for I think about a decade, and then me, who's just kind of came out of lockdown. I only started gigging properly in February. Right. So it's 2 quite good perspectives. So if you want to hear more about that, definitely come along. It's the 10th of August, and it's at 7:20 till 8:20 at the Voodoo Rooms.
That sounds interesting, and it is, you're right, because I think the first time we played Brown Bear on on Scots Whay Hae would have been about 10 years ago, and
Wow.
so it would be interesting to see his perspective on how things have changed and your perspective on, you know, you coming through just recently.
Totally. And Matt, I absolutely love Matt. Matt's one of my good friends. He's been a great support to me in terms of like advice and stuff as well. And yeah, he's been brilliant. So it'll be good because we get good chats just in general. So it'll be good to actually have that sort of orchestrated by Jamie and on a panel. Make sure we don't go off topic.
And it will be available to listen to on Jamie's podcast, you know, for those who can't make it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think the whole podcast will be uploaded. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Silvi, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh no, I've totally, honestly, I've watched so many of your wee episodes, so thank you so much. I'm so glad to have been here.
And this is Silvi and Rain.